Welcome to MJ Hobby Corner, everyone. I am MJ, and I'll be your host in this very brief update, pre-holiday update. So first and foremost, I hope that you guys are well. I hope that you find yourselves in good spirit and that you have a wonderful holiday. I myself will not be working on this very much longer because I have a lot of holiday preparations for this weekend. Julie and I will be very busy. But I wanted to give a very short update on this mesh technique, which, as you guys know, I've been working on consistently for a couple of weeks now. And I have quite a few things built, and I just am going to give you a little rundown of what I've done so far. And there is a Scratch Builder monthly, which Julie is editing as we speak, and that will concentrate only on this technique for anyone interested. You can check my community tab today, maybe later tonight. As soon as it is on Wargames Vault, I will announce it. And it talks about this technique and shows some of these new units. All right. Let me concentrate on my musket age fantasy. So what I'm doing now is I cut out all the little bases for the infantry units that I want, and I label them. Some of them are Orc, some of them are Imperial. If I have another faction that I want to introduce, then I cut them out and label them. And then I simply use an assembly line technique where I do all the units. And finally, after I do all the units, I add all the little wires for the muskets. Now, I will probably be making line troops like these, which are easiest, okay? And that's what all these bases will represent. So these won't take very long to make. And the idea is I want to have a larger army to play with, since I just released the first game of this Musket Age Fantasy on my Patreon and members only stream. I will be playing another game next week for the channel itself. So if you're interested in this stuff, definitely hang in there. I do have a game coming. A new unit is a Griffin. This is a large Griffin, and basically I haven't painted this yet. This is a prototype. I'm still kind of playing around with the design. I screwed up the wings a little bit. So again, this is just playing around with the mesh to see what I am capable of constructing. Now, this is a Griffin with a Goblin Rider, and then once I paint it, it'll become a little more evident. But these guys are messengers. They're not combat units. They belong to this kind of musket age, gunpowder age that I'm doing for fantasy. And basically, these guys fly around between the different army formations and pass on orders, important messages, intelligence. They act as spotters for the Orc artillery. Well, a bunch of different things. So I thought this would be a really cool unit to have, and it could even be an objective unit, in one of the games. So I'm playing around with this, and hopefully when I finish painting it and perfect it a little more, we'll have some flying Griffin units. And yes, those are very big Griffins. Now, it is also possible to make units like giant spiders. And here is a giant spider with the mesh. Part of it is constructed with mesh, and the other parts are wooden beads that I used. And then the howdah is also a mesh, and there is a wizard on the howdah. So it's very possible to make exotic units like this, a little bit of hot glue to texture the bead a little bit, and it is also possible to make different shapes of giant spiders. So this is for a fantasy unit, a fantasy game, and that will come later. I first want to finish my musket age troops. There's a few units I want to build before I go on to fantasy and anything else. Now, in order to explore the building technique for these little mesh units. I have, these are display units mounted on a board, and this is where I practice painting and I practice building the units. Now for the more modern units, we have a kneeling unit, we have a standing unit, and we have a unit on the ground, and these are like prototypes. These I will look to maybe do a few perfections on it, and then these will be more modern units. I especially like the guy on the ground. So it's very possible to manipulate the mesh in such a way that you get these abstract shapes. Here is a more medieval unit with a shield, and you have like a large spear. He also has a little headgear, the little plume on his head. And then we have some like red coats, and I started adding bayonets to these. And these will probably be like special units that I make. And then we have another sort of medieval unit with a sword, shield, and some metal. And so he has like a little bit of chainmail, and I just did that with paint. And then we have centaurs. And here is the centaur skeleton out of the mesh. I'm trying to keep the camera focused. And so it is very possible to make exotic units like these. The centaur, there will be some with bows, some with shields and spears. And again, this is for a more fantasy army that I will build later. Okay, so we have modern age, we have medieval age, we have more like gunpowder age, and then, you know, other fantasy units for medieval fantasy. So not bad. And I'm still working on these centaurs, kind of perfecting them a little bit, modifying the build a little bit. That's what these little blocks are for. So I wanted to show that. That will appear in the magazine that I'm putting up, and I will have a little discussion on it. I'm making railroad. I'm going to make a little model train using this mesh. I started with the railroad pieces, and that's going to go for my Musket Age Fantasy. There will be trains specialized to carry troops and ammunition and even cavalry. And I will make a model of these trains, and they will be designed for special scenarios. Here is my more modern age, like the walkers, and I'm still working on this. But this one has a little infantry unit near its legs, and I weathered it a little bit. There's a little bazooka team there. Basically, protect the walker from enemy infantry that might go under and fire into those really vulnerable lower parts. Now, this has a little canopy that I started building, and the canopy is made out of this plastic material. So all of these walkers are going to have a little canopy. Once they are painted, and I'm finished painting them, then I start adding the little plastic canopy. And it really makes a difference, I think, in the walker. So some of it will be left open, but then the other parts will be filled. And kind of a War of the World style of a walker. These are crawlers. I call them crawlers. And I have quite a few different designs for these. Now this one has a commander out of the hatch, and then I gotta add the other guns, and to some of these I will add arms and stuff. And but these are pretty much finished. I have to paint them. This is an open-topped walker with an artillery piece, and then this one's one of my favorites. This one has an anti-aircraft unit on it. So once I paint it, I'll add all of the canopy, and I think it'll look good. So here's the truck that I showed in a previous video. So it is possible to make all different kinds of vehicles for different purposes, and that's what I really love about this mesh. And that project is going to be on hold until next year, because I want to finish I want to do it little by little. So I'll finish my Musket Age first, maybe move on to fantasy, or move on to a more modern kind of age later on. And over there you'll see all the specialized terrain that I am making for this. And one cool thing that's helping me a lot is making these little triangle envelopes and then saving all of my templates in these little envelopes. And that helps me a lot to keep things organized and have templates so that I can reproduce things. So if I decide on making a different Griffin, different technique, I will report it. But for now, this is the unit that I have, and it represents messenger units, goblin riders trained to pass messages, important messages and intelligence between the orc armies. And that came as an idea as I was playing the game for Patreon and YouTube members. I kind of got that idea. It would be kind of cool to have that. And then, of course, the finished portions of both the human army and the orc army are back there. So I'm going to be adding more infantry, mortar units, Napoleonic style rocket units, and all that good stuff. So that's all I wanted to say. A very short video. This is not a how-to video or anything like that, just giving an update. And if you want to help support the channel, support my work, hop on over to Wargames Vault, and there is a whole list of Scratch Builder Monthly, and you will see Scratch Builder Mesh Armies. That's going to come up sometime today. So thank you very much, folks. And again, have a great holiday. I hope you find yourselves well and in good spirits. And I will see you sometime next week. I'm taking some days off for the holidays as well. So thank you very much. And we will talk very soon. Thank you.